Welcome everybody to the final score. I'm your host Nicholas Marcinov, and today we will be talking about my NFL Week 7 picks. Now, this is a game show where I've challenged all my buddies to a competition to see who can predict the NFL season the best. The winner at the end of the Super Bowl gets a jersey out of my pocket. I've been doing this for 2 years in a row. This is my third official year. I've bought a jersey each time. My wallet is on fire. And that's okay because I really want to give away another jersey because whoever can do this competition deserves another jersey. Am I right? Absolutely. Now, I'm not joined by anybody tonight, unfortunately, so you guys have to just sit back and enjoy, and I hope that I can bring you some sort of enjoyment on this morning, evening, whenever you're watching it. Let's go ahead and jump into, well, hang on, I'm getting carried away. Let's go ahead and talk about the current standings right now. So I am currently in first place, shocking, with a record of 57 and 37, followed by Chris with a record of 56 and 38, followed by Ben with 54 and 40, and then Tanner with 46 and 48, and then DJ, who is unfortunately 40 and 54. Now, we have seen amazing comebacks. However, it might be a really steep climb for DJ. We will just have to wait and see how the season plays out. It should be interesting either way. Let's go ahead and jump into our first game. It's the New Orleans Saints going to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Now, for the New Orleans Saints, this is game 3 of the Bird Gauntlet. They've already defeated the Atlanta Falcons. They've already defeated the Seattle Seahawks. Up next is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I'm not going to lie. The Saints are not a good team right now. And I don't like our head coach, Dennis Allen. I thought he was the worst possible option from everybody who we interviewed. And yet we kept the culture. Should not have kept the culture. He should have stayed as a defensive guy. But I also can't say that we are losing because of him. It's mostly the injuries. We just don't have our primary players in place. But even when we did in week 1, we didn't win. We did win. I take that back. We beat the Falcons, but we didn't look good. At 3/4 of the game, horrible. Whereas the Arizona Cardinals, they haven't really looked good all season, so the Saints could pull off an upset. However, I'm not going to pick them for an upset. I think that this is going to be the game where they officially lose the Bird Gauntlet. Give me the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the first of the Sunday games. It is the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Man, the Baltimore Ravens are... What do you even say? They just love to give up leads. Anytime that they have a double-digit lead, it feels like they just want to give it away. I think I saw a stat that said they've had a double-digit lead in every single game, but they don't have a record above 500, which is just crazy to me. And then the Browns, on the other side of things, they're not playing too well. They're currently 2-4. They should be better than where they currently are. I'm not ready to just throw the blame at Jacoby Brissett. I thought he was actually playing pretty decently. Just a lot of situational stuff has not been going the Browns' way. I do think that this is going to be a week where the Ravens get back on track. They start looking like their form, and unfortunately the Browns fall to 2-5. Love the Browns, but not looking like a good matchup. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are probably the worst team in the league right now. They lost Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. They're down to PJ Walker. They're looking to trade Christian McCaffrey. They've already traded Robbie Anderson. Anything is possible. They fired their head coach. This team is a dumpster fire. And then you have Tom Brady, who got upset by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I believe that's going to be a wake-up call that Tom Brady needed, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to look more like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of years past. So give me the Buccaneers to just beat the hell out of the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to probably say something like 37-3. I think that's probably probably a little generous for the Panthers there. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons at Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati, you almost let the Saints beat up on you guys. I could not believe what I was seeing. Of course, I got my hopes up thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to pull off a huge upset against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and the Bengals. But no, the Saints did what Saints do, and we gave up the lead. The Atlanta Falcons, they're surprising me. They are surprising me a lot. This is actually going to be a good test for the Atlanta Falcons. I have difficulty picking the Atlanta Falcons in any matchup just because they are still a rebuilding team, and that's not going to change with this game. I'm going to still pick the Cincinnati Bengals because this is a game they should win. However, if the Atlanta Falcons start winning and beat the Cincinnati Bengals, we're going to have to start talking about them being one of the better teams in the NFC right now. Even with the record of 3-3, they might be dangerous. Moving on to the New York Giants at Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, a team that I don't care about going up against a lovable loser that I really like. I don't care too much for the New York Giants. If I can be completely transparent, I think that they are a boring franchise. And yet, they just keep winning. They came back against the Baltimore Ravens and they won that game in tremendous fashion. It was quite the spectacle. But then you also have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were hot for all of 2 games, and then they're not. They're just not good. So who's going to win this matchup? I think it's pretty clear. I'm going with the G-Men. The G-Men are just going to rattle the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would love to see the Jacksonville Jaguars pull off an upset, but the G-Men are looking okay this season. So I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. Okay, moving on to the Green Bay Packers at the Washington Commanders. This matchup is not really exciting. Carson Wentz has gone down to injury. It's now Taylor Heineke, who is kind of interesting, but they're going up against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. For the first time ever in the LaFleur era, which, by the way, LaFleur is not a great coach. He is just disguised by the amazing talent that is Aaron Rodgers, and anybody who watches this channel regularly knows how much that is a struggle for me to say. But LaFleur is not good. Whenever he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers, he turns into doo-doo water. That's besides the point. Let's talk about this matchup. The Commanders barely beat the Bears. The Packers got creamed by the New York Jets, who just look like a good team right now. I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to get back on track. They're going to stop this 2-game slid against the Commanders, and they're just going to get back to winning football. Is it going to be sustainable? No, but I think the Commanders are just below the Packers on the totem of who's good and who's not. Moving on to the Indianapolis Colts at Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans really just feel like a team that's in the league this season. Like, they're not special. They're not flashy. Derrick Henry, he's okay. What else is there really to say? They're just there. I don't know what happened, but like midway through last season, somebody says something and they just, like a light switch, just gone. Everything that was cool about them was just gone. And then you have Indianapolis Colts with Matt Ryan, who they're just playing football and having a little bit of fun. It's not great football, but they're doing stuff. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not really sure if that's an upset or not, but they seem to be having more fun to me than the Tennessee Titans are. I'm going to pick the fun team. Moving on to the next matchup between the Houston Texans and the Las Vegas Raiders. This matchup should not be close. I know the Raiders have only won 1 game this entire season, but this should not be a close matchup whatsoever. The Houston Texans are not a good football squad, and the Las Vegas Raiders have Devontae Adams. The Raiders have to use Devontae Adams and win this game. The defense has to make those stops and just keep Houston out of the end zone. Houston doesn't want to win, Raiders. This is your chance to get a freebie. Win the damn game. Moving on. We are going to talk about the New York Jets at the Denver Broncos. What is going on with the Jets? Like, whenever the head coach came out, Robert Saleh, and said that they're keeping tabs on everybody who said they're bad, oh my God, am I signing that receipt right now? Because we have that ongoing joke about getting kicked in the balls by Jets. Well, now the Jets aren't the ones kicking their own fans in the balls. They're kicking me in the balls. The Jets look tremendous the way they own the Packers. They have not lost a game with Zach Wilson at QB this season. They're looking really dangerous. And you know who's not looking dangerous? Dangerous. Wilson. That was a bit of a stretch, but that's what he calls himself. Dangerous. The Broncos are... oh, I love being validated, because they are going to end up being the fourth place team in the AFC West. Everybody needs to get off of their high horse, pun intended, about the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are not a good squad, and I'm going to pick the New York Jets. And I had to go out and get this logo because I never pick the New York Jets, but they are just a team I can't pick against this week. So give me the Jets. The Kansas City Chiefs at San Francisco 49ers. Chiefs are coming off a little bit of a devastating loss, that last minute interception by Patrick Mahomes, and then the San Francisco 49ers got rattled to their core by the Atlanta Falcons. And Kyle Pitts actually had a somewhat decent fantasy day. Can you believe that? Insane things that happen. So who is going to bounce back? You have Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best teams in the AFC, or the San Francisco 49ers, who I think are one of the better teams in the NFC. Well, you just can't beat the firepower of Patrick Mahomes. It's not even close. Mahomes, Jimmy G, Super Bowl rematch from a couple of seasons ago. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs to show why they should have won that Super Bowl again and again and again and 10 times over. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the LA Chargers. So this match is going to be pretty interesting. Hang on, I just realized that I don't have the Cowboys. I totally skipped over the Giants, the Lions and Cowboys game. Whoopsies. We're going to backtrack to that really quick. So Seattle and Chargers, just put a pause on that. Let's talk about Lions at Cowboys. Detroit Lions, coming off of a bye, their last performance was not very good. Got completely shut out. Jared Goff made me lose my fantasy that week. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys, where Dak Prescott is set to return. He's had surgery to put a metal plate into his throwing hand, and he's going to be starting over Cooper Rush. Now, this is going to sound wrong, because I'm sure the Dallas Cowboys are the heavy favorites in this matchup. But I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions, because the injury that happened to Dak Prescott is scarily similar to the injury that happened to Drew Brees. Drew Brees in that 2018-19 season? No, 1920 season. He busted his hand because of Aaron Donald. He had to get surgery on there, and ever since then, his strength was never the same. Now, I'm not going to say that's exactly what happened. He could have been regressing to begin with, but he had that really incredible 2018-19 season where he could have been the MVP had Mahomes not just popped off. I don't see Dak Prescott being able to come back from hand surgery and playing at a top tier level. I think it's going to be really sloppy, His grip is not going to be the same where it used to be. And I think the Detroit Lions are just going to take advantage of this. I might have a little too much faith in the Lions, but I think that week off was really good for them, and that Cooper Rush might have to go in for the Cowboys at some point. So give me the Lions. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled Seattle Seahawks at LA Chargers. Geno Smith looking good with the Seahawks. Very surprised about that. LA Chargers, they did not look good against the Denver Broncos. They looked like a tired football team. Even whenever they went into overtime, it was like they were just begging the other team to end the game. They did not care. They're like, just take the ball. But it was the Broncos who were like, no, you take the ball. And so the Chargers won. And I just think that that's probably going to happen again. I think the Chargers, gosh, I keep saying they're going to get back on track, but they need to get back on track. If they end up losing to the Seattle Seahawks in LA, oh, that's not going to be a good look. That's might have to question everything. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Miami Dolphins. The Steelers are, well, they're there, and they just totally upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kenny Pickett got a concussion in the last game, forcing Mitchell Trubisky to come in, and Trubisky still went off and led the team to a victory. It was quite the spectacle. Couldn't believe what was going on. Lots of upsets last week. Lots of upsets. Miami Dolphins are actually getting Tua back, and I think just the addition of Tua is going to be incredible. I think that's what's going to cause the Miami Dolphins to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going with Miami. Give me Tua. He's going to come back and he's going to look great. Okay, moving on to the Monday night game. It's the Chicago Bears at the New England Patriots. This isn't even close. Chicago Bears is one of the worst offenses in the entire league. Passing offense is just terrible. Justin Fields is not looking like the top tier quarterback that he's supposed to be in week 2. He's supposed to have developed, but it looks like he's regressing. The New England Patriots, gosh, they're doing surprisingly well with their backup quarterback. I'm gonna say that the Patriots just keep the good times rolling. The Chicago Bears are not gonna be tough. Monday night, New England Patriots, go Pats. And that one's for you, Tanner. That one's for you. So there are 4 teams currently on bye this week. You have the Bills and Rams, Vikings and Eagles. Let's just go ahead and pair them up into a fun little matchup called What Would Happen in This Week. Let's say the Buffalo Bills went to Philadelphia Eagles. Who would win? I'm actually taking the Bills in that matchup. I think the Bills would beat the Eagles in this bye week just because the Eagles are riding here and the Bills are just creeping up. They're going to catch them and surpass them. Then you have the LA Rams heading to the north to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Who do I think is going to win there? I think it would be the Minnesota Vikings. Like, the Rams just need to find consistency on defense right now. Matthew Stafford, he needs to be able to not look like the Detroit Lions form of him. And I know, he was really good with the Lions. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's the aura of the Detroit Lions, the losing. That's what we're talking about here. We don't want that version of Matthew Stafford. If they can do that, I don't know. So I would pick the Vikings and Bills to beat those 2 teams. But they're on a bye, so that doesn't really count. All right, well, with that in mind, everybody, I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is a weekly show. I've enjoyed doing it so much, even if I am just by myself. But it gives me good public speaking practice, and that goes a long way, especially in my classes. So thank you guys so much. It's an absolute pleasure to do this every week. And that's the final score. Thank you, and good night.